It depends. I mean, I will tell you, Mom and I discussed this recently. We heard both with your baby shower and Ryan AJ's baby shower, and talking about this. Your respective friends from high school or before, your childhood friends, a good number, a nice many number, maybe 3 or 4, but they're showing up or plan to show up. And right, and as I call it, the Irvine Mafia, right? So the Irvine Mafia is for you guys is really strong, and I was pleasantly surprised. I wouldn't say surprised, but pleasantly surprised, even down to the adopted brother, as we have, Gio, right?
Yeah.
We go to the wedding and the damn Irvine Mafia is there, and he was only there for a year. And of course, you all had the same friends as Gio took on your friends.
Right.
The best part about it is the crossovers that you guys have. I'll see your friends at AJ's wedding, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing, right?
What's funny is Josh is kind of the go-between.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
And there's really mostly overlap between AJ and I think due to the proximity of our age. And Josh was always sort of that floater between us for different reasons. I mean, I think we made friends with him independently. Right? I met Josh in elementary school.
Correct.
And we kind of lost touch and then kind of became friends again in high school. And then Josh had become friends with AJ's friend group. So when AJ went back to Northwood, Josh was already a part of that group.
Yeah, he was already part of that. And even then, and then even Evan, your youngest brother, was eventually his designated driver.
Yeah,
right. So pick him up from the bars and drive him home. So even your brother has connection with Josh. So Josh is kind of the unicorn friend that gets over
and
many.
What was really funny is during AJ's wedding, Dan, who was my best friend growing up, was Josh's +1.
Yeah, I know that was.
And
funny.
AJ was totally cool with it, totally normal because Dan had been around me so much that AJ and Dan was at AJ's bachelor party as well, which I call it a bachelor party. We were just kind of dicking off in the mountains. So, I guess there's this very interesting thread, and it's been very nice to see, right? So, Dan and Ryan Pabone are both coming to our baby shower.
Right.
They're flying. Ryan's driving something like 14 hours from Georgia. We invited his family and had places for his family if need be, but he said, no, it's too much to bring, his wife and 3 kids that he has, up to Iowa.
Is he in Georgia now?
He's in Georgia now. He was in Colorado. He moved to Georgia, I believe, early 2022, roughly. Yeah. So, I mean, he's in the military, right? So he's going to be popping around the States for a while. And I think Tony tried to make it, but he's kind of pretty deep into his work right now. I think he became one of the lead bartenders at the tiki bar he works at, so his responsibilities have ramped up a ton. So I don't think he'll be able to make it, unfortunately. Plus, he's got some things he's going through. And then Josh is kind of the, actually right now, kind of the, we're not sure. We're fly on the wall. We'll see where Josh lands.
Well, yeah, I mean, even at Gio's wedding, Josh was supposed to come and Dan was going to be his +1, but Josh was sick. So
Josh was sick, right? So
yeah, so they couldn't go. But the point is, it's just funny how that works, the crossover. So to answer your question, I don't know that we encourage much. I mean, I believe that, Mom and I being good friends with each other, maybe the friends that we've had, the way we treat people, you guys pick and choose how you want to be treated by people as well.
I think is what it is.
So I don't know how that worked out. And you'll know when you see it, but you have questions as to, I think that one's not a good influence, and we'll see how long that one lasts.
Yeah. And I think we've become good, at least I've become good at, if I meet somebody, I'll be cordial, and right, if I think, we could be friends, great, I'll talk to them. And then at a certain point, if they do something that rubs me the wrong way, they say something that I don't agree with, I'll just be like, okay, it's not worth my time. I'll just kind of cut it out there.
I think it's a matter of, it's value centric.
Right.
So if they have the same values as you, whatever that means at 6 years old, 9 years old, 13 years old, 15 years old, they have the same values, which we instill in you guys as much as we can. You're going to be okay as long as they can read those values and say this is, or you explore outside the values. I've said that before. You explore outside the values and make adjustments and grow from that. But as long as it's not way beyond your comfort zone or into things that frankly just no question you shouldn't be involved in, then maybe not. But we got lucky. I think part of it's just luck. I mean, look, we all know about my friend Frank.
Yeah.
And and I knew him since I was 9, and we didn't become friends until I was 13 or 12, 13 really. And he's a constant prankster, still is to this day. But I was not. I mean, I was risk averse, etc. He was like, let's take on risk. I learned a lot from him, having that kind of friendship that took me out of my comfort zone and tested, the world a little bit more. And frankly, I think my parents were happy with that because I was otherwise too cautious, whatever. They would need someone to take me out of my comfort zone, and that was Frank, and trust me. Now, there was a certain point I realized, okay, this is as far as I go, this is all I do.
Yeah.
And so we have our boundaries, but as it were, in fact, I just had dinner with him Friday. I had a friend frankly, I've known for other reasons, that he's a family friend, right? His parents got Om and Opa together kind of thing. But he came in from Dallas. I had dinner with him and Frank, and so John DeNeve I'd known for years, and so I was meeting with him. I'm flying to Austin, Texas next month, and I got my friend in Houston who I knew from elementary school into early high school. He's there. He's going to drive up from Houston to see me. Frank might fly out if he can to visit, so the three of us can be together. So we still attempt to make those connections. But in any friendship, you start to learn things, particularly as adults, and you'll learn when you get into your 30s and 40s, particularly with your kids. For me, the measure was when I'm starting to have my own friends, is when I meet with them, are they asking about me, or are they only telling them about themselves? And while I don't need someone to be curious about me, at the same time, it needs to be both ways. And how are you doing? How are you feeling? How's the job? That kind of stuff, and have those kind of conversations. And when you grow up with kids, and you're forced to be in certain groups, because it's the soccer team, it's the baseball team, it's the Boy Scouts, it's the Girl Scouts. You get together with parents, you go out, you have commonality stuff. But so you're stuck with these parents sometimes, and sometimes the friendships are great, and sometimes it's like, they're just, I'm not into that. I'm not into money or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, that's interesting then. So when growing up, and you don't have to name names, I don't need to know who, but when growing up, right, my friends were my friends outside of maybe family friends we had, but my friends were my friends. And I assume there was some overlap with, okay, I'm at this event with my son and his friend is there and his friend's parents are there, right? Where they're friends of mine, whose parents you didn't connect with well or didn't gel with very well.
Not that I remember by name, by virtue, because I shut it out. But
Sure.
the friends you would think of, like the Hymans that we've had, we hang out with the Hymans and others, we really had a good relationship.
Right.
And so you will, if you see the connection, if I remember the names, then it's like, no, we had good connection with those people and those friends. And that kind of mattered, right? And
Sure.
Sometimes they run their course, not run their course, but the point is that the Arakakis, right? Good people.
Yeah. Right.
By the way, I have no idea how they feel about us, but for them, we felt there was enough connection that we would have friendships beyond just soccer or whatever. There were dozens, of course, right, of other parents that we met over the course of years that they were nice, but it's like it just didn't click. And again, if you ever ask me how many jet skis I have, and if you measure me by how many jet skis I have, I'm done. Right? It's like,
Sure.
I don't like water. I don't do jet skis. I don't care that you ask about my social status based on my, it's fun to say, do you like water? Do you fish or whatever?
Right. But it's not about the water. It's about how successful you are participating in the water.
No, but it was funny. They will tell you, there I was on this jet ski and I was doing this, like, okay, it's not great for other people, just not the kind of people. Sure. I really want kind of a two-way street, sometimes somewhat intellectual conversation, some of it not, humor takes me a long way with certain people. Sure. So you just kind of find that mix within the parents, and that's what's going to happen. If you think you don't have friends now, you do have friends, obviously, in where you are. But when you think you have friends now, you'll see the friends you really have when your kids get involved and you keep seeing the same parents, right?
Sure.
And you do create some friendships based off of that. And that's how you get outside. That's how you grow your community of friends, is by virtue of what your kids do and who they are at school, soccer, sporting events, Boy Scouts or something like that, or Girl Scouts, whatever.
Right.
That's where you're going to find the connections you make with the new friends. And then, of course, it begs the question whether your child is having friends with that friends and they can't stand them anymore. What do you do? But anyway, whatever.
Right.
But that's the adult side of the friendships when you're raising kids. In the sense of kids themselves, you'll figure it out. The kids are not inherently bad. If there's issues or whatever, it rarely came up. I think we had a situation with your younger sister, by the way, who's 25 today.
I texted her.
You did? Yeah. So, okay, yeah. So this is she bought donuts. So
Oh, nice.
So I'm having that. But anyway, so I remember one time that this is the event that changed me, and there was an event that happened. I just kind of yelled too much or whatever, and got upset about her painting a wall and that kind of stuff. And Mom and I still talk about her friend who was there that caused her to do that. Okay, who influenced her to do that. And what do we think of that friend? And I think it's a turning point, because the friend stayed there. I probably told you the story already on the podcast. She stayed there, that night, that afternoon into the evening, lied about her grandfather being in the hospital, so that she had to stay with us. And Mom thought that was just at the time, and I'm not judging Mom.
I guess I don't remember this too well then.
Yeah. So, but the question was, she's lying, doing it because she was staying with Emma to protect Emma from us and seeing the wall was being painted, right?
Sure.
That's what I figured out later. So we first think that she's a bad influence because she caused this to happen, and then she lied about her grandfather being in the hospital and blah, blah, blah. And I realized, and I told Mom, I said, the friend who lied about her grandfather so she can stay with Emma and help her through this issue that she's going to have that they see coming with her parents about painting the room. That's actually a loyal friend, if you think about it. Right? But I didn't realize that till later.
Yes, I would say yes. There are good points to. That's like the friend that watches you getting caught by the police dealing drugs, but doesn't snitch on you any more than is already. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah. Like there are things. There are admirable points there. Right? You stick with your friend, but the events that kind of cause the lead up still kind of fall within their realm of responsibility. And
I mean, it's the loyalty. I think loyalty is important, and I think
it is too.
Yeah. So I think, and I think again, at a young age, you start to realize, if they're loyal or not, and whatever the values are that keep friendships. For us, for me, it was loyalty. And I say loyalty, not blind loyalty, but I mean, that they had my back.
It's funny, and I think you've told all of us this very early on. Maybe this is where I got my idea of keeping friends, and the idea of seeing that loyalty within the friends that I've made, is that you told us very early on that in your life people are going to be flakes. People are just going to flake on you, and I always thought that was weird because you'd always taught us, hey, if you agreed to something, you're gonna go do that thing. I try not to flake as much as I can, even if it's something that I am not excited for. I try, I said I was gonna do this thing, so I'm gonna go do that thing. And I think I unconsciously or not at all, see, these are the friends that are showing up to, my baby shower now.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's the sort of thing where I think maybe unconsciously that's what the decision you made. And I thought it was very interesting growing up, getting older, in my adulthood, seeing just how many people really do flake. Coworkers, bosses, other students that trying to do group projects with, right? You see it everywhere. And I was like, I know you had told me, but it really didn't hit until I got to witness.
Yeah, I know. I had that conversation with your brother AJ too, and when he was in the fraternity, he's like, he'll set something up and we'll do the event, and because he's in charge of it, and nobody shows up. Dad, I said, I know, I told you. When I went to college, I said people are going to be flakes. The question is, it's always about expectations. Just don't set expectations that high. You won't be disappointed. Sure. So people will flake. Just know that. So make sure if you need 10 people there, you ask 40. Somebody will show up, right? I mean, it's just. And I'm not here to beat up on other people. I'm just saying don't be one of them. Right. And if they are, then that's they're not always flakes on everything. Maybe right. On that one thing that were, and you can judge them accordingly. All I know is don't be shocked. People are not like you. And whatever it might be, in this case, it's going to be commitment and flakes. Absolutely, there's lots of them, and so you just have to learn how to navigate and respond to that. And life is much easier that way. I navigate. I keep gotten better and better when I just make adjustments as to what I expect from people. And I don't want to say get low expectations. I just know that they're human. Right. And you have to find out where their failings are. You've got them. Ashley's got them. Mom's got them. I certainly have them. And once you dial into your friends, who you have, and their failings, it's like, okay, I know that we're going to be late. because they're always late. I can't be mad about that because I kept them in my circle of friends because they're always late. So,
Right.
So I just have to deal with that. But they always show up, albeit late, right? So if that's your threshold, then so accept the failings of your friends. If there's something you can't align with, the failings of your friends, that they do things that you don't agree to or whatever it is, or they don't treat you right, or some people around them right, then okay, then you sever the relationship, right? You're saying, yeah, that's just not tolerated. Their vulnerability, their weakness, it just falls in my absolute, I have to cross it off. You know, that doesn't work. The rest you work through, as long as it's worth investing in it.
Yeah.
So there's got to be friendship, other reasons why you keep them around that are extraordinary. And that's what people do. I hope that's what you guys do. And I hope that's how you reflect it to your friends as well. That's important. I mean, as much as I talk about Frank, right? And he's a prankster and he's interesting and has his own way of thinking. But when Opa died in July, he sent Oma a message that he says, if there's anything happens, if you need anything, he says, and John and Ray aren't there, which is often my brother John, are not there for whatever reasons, you call me. And I told Mom, and he really meant it. And I told Mom, I said, here's his number. He's right. If there's anything, you have a flat tire and we're not answering, you call him because he will show up. Without question, he will show up as much as he'd show up for his own parents. That's as quirky as we might be and the things we've gone through and everything else, that is loyalty you do not throw away, right? So he's always got my, I always say, it's, and you'll get this with children, it's I always threaten people, like, look, I've got a lantern and a shovel and friends that don't ask questions. So, and I will take you out and no one's gonna and nobody cares. So if you have a friend that says, hey, bring a shovel, I got the lantern, don't ask questions, and they say, okay, I'll be there. Yeah. That's a friend, right? Yeah, that's your friend. So and trust me, I have a few of those. Frank would not ask questions, he would tell you how to bury a body even better. So he'd Google it before left. So, I mean, I joke on that, but you know what I'm saying? It's someone who really has your back is important, and parents will do that, for you. I think as I've heard before, the line of people who give a damn about you ends with your mom and dad, period. Okay. And so as much as we get beat up, or you'll get beat up as being a parent, that your kid doesn't respond to you and hates you and blah, 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 the loyalty that you have to your kids, and that you were there through thick and thin. It might always be comfortable, but you're there. The kids don't always respect that, but that's a true line. The line of anyone giving a damn about you ends with me and mom, right? Now, with me and mom and I are gone, what does that leave you with? And that's what we talk about, when your siblings become your substitute, at least to some degree. And that's what I've been advocating to you guys. Hopefully you have friends that will do it otherwise, don't get me wrong. But if they're not there for whatever reason, then again, there's always that last ditch effort if that's what family's about. But or you go just in hiding or something, right? So but anyways, that's the thing about friends, and loyalties and friendships. I mean, I don't know, your son and the other kids, whoever they are, they're going to find their own friends and their own thing, and just you know what they're doing more than they think you know what they're doing. So it's like, do we agree with them or not? And how does the kid respond? And there were times that we can tell that somebody wasn't good for you because we can tell it bothered you, or whatever.
Sure, that makes sense.
We can read it as to
right.
And then we were just monitored very carefully. There were times when we think you were awful friends, not you individually, but we've had it with our kids, maybe you, but anyway, awful friends to somebody else, and we would have to correct that, right? Because that's not what we do. Proverbial, that's not what and you'll do it. That's not what we do in this house. That was a sign of, we have family values, fundamental family values that we practice, and that kind of crossed the line of our fundamental family values. And our values we're not a cult. It wasn't that kind of thing, but
we're big enough to be.
Well, yeah, whatever. But but it wasn't a cult-like. But I mean, the sense of the standard stuff. But we stuck to it.
Right.
So that's important. So we'll see.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know. Maybe next time we'll then dive into the subtopic of significant others, boyfriends and girlfriends, and how it was navigating all of that with you. So, but I think for now,
there's not much to that. I mean.
Right, but I think for now it's a great topic.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope you.
Interesting to hear about how you deal with your back pains, and then B, how you dealt with, I guess, us growing up with the friends that you did or did not like. Will be yet.
For the record, I mean, for all the names I remember. By the way, I'm not always good with the names, especially the girls. I don't know why. There's a lot of McKennas that Emma has, or something like that, right? It was the 90s, early.
Yeah, McKenna was the name.
so there's McKenna's or whatever, and I get confused. I apologize to all of her friends, but there weren't friends there weren't any that we didn't like, and again, I think the summary of it all is the Irvine Mafia that you guys have is phenomenal, and that you got that bond still is impressive. I don't know what you guys did right. It's not only me and Mom. I don't know what you guys did right to make that happen and keep it, but good for you. So yeah, that was a story of friends. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, we never liked other people's kids, but yeah, they were good friends to you. What are we gonna? I'm kidding. We like them. So, very good, Bryce. So that was good.
I think so.